I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Yes, it does, Bill. Welcome in. It's a Friday, May 2nd, another edition of the Daily Puck Drop. We come live every single day to you on Twitter and YouTube, the Puck Sports mobile app. Yes, you can listen to this fine program on the Puck Sports mobile app. Download it to your iPhone and your Android phone from the Google Play and the Apple or the App Store. If you're watching the show or want to watch it, listen to it later. We're always there, too. Up there on YouTube and, of course, your favorite podcast platforms. Just search Puck Sports. All right, Daily Puck Drop here on a Friday. Chris Egan coming up momentarily. He's in the green room right now. We're going to get him up here in a quick second. No go-to guy today. Apparently, he had to take a couple of days off to drive to Pullman to pick up his kids. Fishy, yes. And then also he put a bunch of furniture on the back of his truck and attempted to tie it down with bungee cords. And my guess is he claims he made it to Pullman, but there's no there's no confirmation whether or not the furniture actually made it to Pullman and may have flown off. All right, we got Mariners and Rangers. We got Gray Zabel introduced yesterday. He gets Steve Hutchinson's number. We'll talk about that. And another edition of The Scout, our anonymous MLB scout who joins us every single Friday to talk a little Mariners baseball. Daily Puck Drop, again, broadcasting from the Limback Lumber Studios. Contractors, they got free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects. Largest stock moldings in the Northwest. Old school service. They've been doing it since 1930. Of course, the proud sponsor of our Little League team there as well. Give Limback Lumber a call, 206-782-3487. Visit them online at limbacklumber.com. Follow me on all the social media platforms, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Puck Sports, TikTok, Puck_sports. And, of course, please go visit pucksports.com. There you can sign up to be a member of the Pucks Posse community. You get full access to everything that we do, all the free stuff, and VIP and bonus shows there as well at pucksports.com. Ladies and gentlemen, he joins us from the biggest city in the South End, Puyallup, Washington. They've got themselves a brand new football coach. It's Chris Egan from King 5. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Jason Puckett, how are you on this beautiful Friday? Sun is out. What a week. I mean, it's just been a beautiful week. Mariners in first place. We'll talk about that. But Puck, you and I think everybody that's listened to us and watched us, we like to have fun about 90% of the time. But, once in a while, we'll throw out some storylines that have some heartfelt, ties to them, some emotions. And had a young man by the name of Coach Brett McDaniel that came to me earlier this week. He paid a visit down to Umpqua College to pay his respects to the softball team down there. You've talked about this on this show, and he just said, Chris, is there any chance you could wear an Umpqua softball shirt on Puck's show? And not only that, Puckett, but he has given me one that the next time I see you, I'll be bringing this to you. That will be for you to wear. For anybody listening, watching, not quite sure why I'm mentioning Umpqua softball right now. Tragic story. They were on their way home from a softball game from Coos Bay area, and it was a tragic accident. One of the student athletes and one of the coaches was killed in the accident. So, we're trying to show a lot of love, as we do for sports teams across not only the Pacific Northwest, but down in beautiful Oregon as well. So go Riverhawks. Our hearts, our love, our prayers are with you. Puck, there is a GoFundMe right now for the team. I think the money is going towards the student athletes for therapy, for medical expenses, because other members of the team were injured in the accident. I think it's at over $17,000 right now, or nearly $17,000. So, just we have to. I mean, it's great to celebrate the Mariners, and Seahawks rookie camp is underway. The Huskies have their big purple and white game tonight, but there's real life, and these are real life stories. Mariners, it's not, it's not fake, but there's some heartfelt stuff going on out there as well. And so we got to show some love. Umpqua softball, we love you. We're thinking about you. and whatever you need. There you go. Get on go fund me if you can, and help the kids out if you can. So.
Well said, Chris. Yeah, John Canzano did a last week or maybe 2 weeks ago a fantastic story on it, and just the tragedy it was, and just awful. It was a driver that was impaired that crossed over the median and struck the van as they were traveling back late night. It was a story, and it was a team that is all right. Everything that's right about college athletics, and to have their coach pass away, their first baseman pass away, and those kids, I mean, those girls they'll forever be changed and scarred for the rest of their lives because of that one incident, and that selfish incident by the driver, and who shouldn't have been on the road anyways, because he was already cited for impaired driving. So it's awful, and I'm glad that you're there to support him, because I mean you worked down in that area, did you not? You first started your career?
No, definitely. The first market I worked in was Klamath Falls, and I moved over to Medford. So we covered the greater Southern Oregon area. I made many trips over to the Coos Bay area, up through Grants Pass, and I know those roads very well. I think this also, for anybody listening that has played on a smaller college team, you know about these van rides, these bus rides. And when I was at PLU, that's we jumped in the van and you just traveled and you went. And these teams are so tight, they're so close. So it just my heart hurts for the families of the two lost ones, but you said it, Puck. The kids are never going to be the same after having to deal with this, and so got to send them a lot of love for sure down there at Umpqua. So
puts everything in perspective, does it not?
It really does. It really does when you hear stories like that, and so we wish them the best, and it's also right now you're going through a lot of emotional times throughout the Northwest. It's like senior night every night for whether it's softball or track or baseball. And I was out announcing a game. I think there was 11 kids, and just you see all the families involved, and it's just these are special times. So one thing I would just tell everybody, if you're getting ready for a senior night, just make sure you're there. I mean, do what you got to do, because you'll never get that chance to have those moments again. And I actually started not yelling. I was announcing, Puck. You've seen me announcing before. I was doing the Rogers Rams, and it's a tight game against.
Did you have the horn again, or whatever you play?
I had the horn again, but it's seventh inning. It's a 2-1 game against Olympia, and I look down there, and just everybody's just kind of like, and I'm like, and I just get up, man.
You went on full Egan experience.
Yeah, I said, get up and show some emotion. I mean, what are we worried about here? Come on, Mom and Dad. Come on, Grandma and Grandpa.
Put the phones down.
And get up and have some fun. And I'm going to tell you what, Puck, this transitions perfectly into the first place Mariners. This is a team. It does. And it's professional. This is a team that's having fun.
Yeah,
they're having fun. And in my mind, it all kind of centers around Captain Fun, Captain America, Captain Cal Raleigh. He's the fun creator. And this goes back to spring training. This guy that's just loose. He's firing up the pitching. He's firing up the team. I mean, he works hard. But Captain Fun is these guys. What Puck, you coach, I coach. What do the best teams do? They play for each other. They play for the guy or the gal on the left and the right of them, in front of them, and that's what you see this Mariners team doing right now.
I love the I've talked about it a lot before. It's the unpredictable nature of sports, but it's just the things that come out of nowhere. And I think for this team, I think if they were winning in a different fashion, right? If they were winning with their starting pitching, we would all expect that, because that's how they're built. They're built on their starting pitching. But they're winning in a fashion that none of us, no one, not even Dipoto, no one thought they would win like this.
No.
I mean, they're averaging 7 runs a game at home.
If you had Leonardo Rivas on your bingo card.
Leonardo Rivas. Is that his real first name?
Yeah, I heard
full name.
I heard Riz say it on the broadcast, and I came into the King 5 Sports office. I go, "Hey, Paul, it's not Leo, it's Leonardo." And
well, that's like, we're gonna start calling him Leonardo then.
Yeah, and the best, Puck, is we've got a young man, one of our producers, just grew up in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle area, went to O'Day, has been a diehard Mariners fan since he was born. This year he says, I'm boycotting Egan. I just can't do it. I'm done. I'm done with this team. And he's standing still, and he's over there working on his newscast. And I come over, and there's like 8 producers, and this is after they win the last series. And I go, hey, guys, I was out on a story. And I knew what happened. I go, how did the game go with the Mariners today? Did they win? Did they win the series? And I can see him just smiling over there, just grinning. And I'm like, you can come off your boycott. You can head on over and support this team. And now he's like superstitious. He's like, I don't think I can because I don't want to go over there and they'll start losing again. But I don't know. It's a fun time. It's a party. And not only are the players having fun, but the fans are having fun too. And kids, I tell you, Puck, I was out last night and I was with this dad and he says, you know what, Chris, is so fun is my 10 and 12-year-old. They just want to go to a Mariners game every night. And he goes, I've never had that before with my kids in any sporting event. I'm like, that's the magic of baseball. It's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, because you don't want to lose them, right? I mean, that's the thing. You don't want to lose the kids, and that's been the frustrating thing for the last few years is you can lose some of them, right? If you don't play fun, if it's not fun, and they're not winning games, and I hope it continues. Yeah, I hope it does.
Well, I mean, the injury bug is a little worrisome, but the fact that you are hopefully in the next month and a half have Brash and Kirby.
Sure.
I know Kirby was doing some work in Everett and Brash has been busy. And then I think the big moment I think we're all waiting for is that first kind of what are we going to hear about Logan Gilbert? I think that's that's a big one, Puck. I think that's I don't want to say a make or break on the season, but you want Logan Gilbert, down.
Yeah, I mean, if he's out for an extended period of time, that's going to be a massive blow.
Yeah, and great work to the other Logan and Emerson Hancock on what they're doing. But we need Walter back, so we'll see how that goes.
I don't know if these are for. We have somebody in our chat that wants us to wish a happy birthday for their wife, and now you know what? I just lost where it was at. Oh, it's from Scott. Okay. Scott, can we get a shout out for his wife's birthday, Lynn? She's turning 53. Shout out to you, Lynn. Happy birthday. Happy 53rd birthday to Lynn, who unfortunately is married to Scott.
Well, Scotty and Lynn. Hey, Scotty, take her out tonight, celebrate her, date her, get out there, good little dinner, have some fun.
Get a little drinks, get a little cocktails in her, Scott. And you know what? You know what you got to do later, Scott? Something you probably haven't done in 20 years. Come on, Scott. Do it.
Cadillac margarita tonight, Scotty. Get her a couple.
Cadillac margarita. That's what works for Mrs. Egan. Hey, what's you got happy birthday balloons behind you. That's not for Lynn. Who's that for?
Well, that was yours truly, Puck, celebrating the big 52 yesterday.
52?
Yeah, 52. It was perfect birthday.
Steve Schilling?
I woke up, got myself a coffee, and then played pickleball for 3 hours, and then then went and watched my son in a track meet. My other son, they won a big playoff game yesterday, Chandler Gilbert, so they got game 2 today. And then I tell you, it's when your parents are getting older, you just enjoy the moments. And my brother Mike came down and took us to the HG Bistro, which I haven't been there for a while, in Puyallup.
Oh, and 5-star there. Is that kind of like a high-end 5-star there in Puyallup?
I hadn't been there for a while, Puck, but I'm going to tell you what, I loved it. I had the ribeye steak last night. Mike Egan, big bro, said, get whatever you need on the menu.
Surf and turf, baby.
Luke had the filet, and then we had Ed Egan there. No filter Ed was in the house. 83, no filter Ed.
What Ed get? I'm not hungry. Ate earlier. Just give me a scotch, please.
No filter Ed had the ribeye as well. Loved it. My favorite was, and then we had Francie and Jim, the mother-in-law and father-in-law there as well. Barb's on a trip to Wisconsin, my mom, but
is she doing it with a solo backpack trip to Wisconsin?
She goes there with her brother. That's the homeland, Wisconsin, for them. So they head back to Wisconsin every once in a while.
It's beautiful.
So
There's a lot
Mike,
to that story that I want to investigate more at a later show.
I can give you a lot. I mean, basically, my mom and dad met on a fishing resort in Wisconsin. My dad was cleaning fish, my mom was cooking, and it's a true romantic Wisconsin love story.
Yes, it is.
At a lake. But the best is we have these nice steaks, ribeyes, appetizers, and brother Mike gets like 7 desserts, and it's everybody passes them around.
Yeah.
Well, no filter Ed needs to kind of watch his sugar intake. And the desserts are going well. I mean, the phenomenal desserts last night. And Ed pulls one of these, and Mike's got his son Jack there, and Ed's maybe having too many desserts. He needs to just, he goes
lay off the desserts.
Yeah, we're 7 desserts on the table, and we're doing pretty good. But this is hey Mike, I think your son Jack wants another one of those Pazookies with the cookies and the ice cream. And Jack goes, "No, I don't, Papa." Yes, you do, Jack. Yes, you do. We better order another one. So that's Papa's way of getting.
I love those things, man. Every restaurant's got them. God, they're the best.
I mean, you can have creme brulee. The bananas that flame up.
Bananas Foster.
Bananas Foster, beautiful cheesecakes. But for my money, Puck, just give me a cookie and ice cream. You can't top it. That's the best.
They're the best. Yeah. What's your dog's name again?
Charlie.
Where'd Charlie go? Charlie was on the couch. Now Charlie's bolted. Charlie's had enough of the shenanigans.
Yeah, Charlie is probably looking for birds outside right now. But
he's bounced. Did you make it to the Gray Zabel press conference?
No, I didn't. Well, it was birthday day yesterday.
Oh, it's birthday. You're off on birthday day.
As soon as this is done, I'm heading to day 1 of official rookie camp. So I'm sure we'll get to interview the second round picks today. So this is how they usually do it.
Pretty cool to see that I liked what they did with Zabel and the number.
Yeah.
Because it's Eric Kennedy. People who don't know Eric Kennedy, and many of you probably don't.
Equipment manager.
Long-time equipment manager. I want to say he's been there since 88, 89-ish.
For sure in the 80s, yeah.
So he's been there forever. And the players adore him. This is why he's lasted. Coaches, different ownerships, regimes. I mean, the players love him. And it's kind of their safe haven. They go hang out with him, and he hands out the jerseys. And so when Zabel came there, it's Eric Kennedy who made the recommendation you should wear 76. Of course, that's Steve Hutchinson's number. Mm-hmm. Has not been retired and all that. And then Zabel, I think, was a little floored by it. He got to know Steve Hutchinson through the draft process, and then ended up asking Hutch if it was okay to wear, and Hutchinson said, "Yeah, it's okay." That's really cool. It's almost, we brought up Steve Schilling earlier. 52. You're celebrating your 52nd birthday. Bellevue hands out that number, Bellevue High School, to their top lineman or their leader of their offensive line group every year. Someone gets to wear 52. So it made me think of that in a way, that you're passing on a tradition and a very significant number in this franchise's history to hopefully the next wave of a top offensive talent in Gray Zabel. I just thought it was a cool touch.
Yeah, it was definitely a first-class move, and you listen to these players as they talk, and the numbers are a big deal, like which number I'm going to get. I was listening to one of the DBs. He's like, I don't know. I think there's only 2 numbers in the 20s left, and there's a 30, and it means a lot to him. But to see Greg get Hutch's number is pretty cool, and it's kind of makes me think, I wasn't going to go here yet, Puck, but it transitions me perfectly into a young man that I want to mention, that if you have not heard the name is Xavier Nyans from Mount Vernon High School. And I'm going to mention this number thing because you know what, Xavier probably doesn't want me talking about it. The coach mentioned this to me, and I think this just shows how incredible a kid this is. And I'll talk about him in a sec after the number thing. But Xavier is a very, very, very good baseball player. In fact, probably one of the best baseball players I've ever seen up close in state history. To watch this guy in batting practice, I've never seen a ball jump off a bat like this kid. I mean, when I was watching, took 5 of them over 400 feet deep into the into the Skagit County Fairgrounds. Absolutely amazing what this kid could do. He is number 9. His last name's Nines. He's been number 9 since he was 4 years old. This is a kid that many project will be drafted in the first round, if not the top 10. He currently has a scholarship to Oregon State. He wears number 9. Last year, one of his teammates, his father passed away. His father played at Mount Vernon High School, and his father, when he was there at Mount Vernon High School, wore the number 9. Xavier didn't think twice about it. He went to the kid and says, "You take 9. I want you to have 9 for your dad." And the coach says it was just a remarkable gesture, and his teammates like, "No, X, man, that's your number. You know, my dad would want you on the field wearing 9. You know, the number he wore." And it's just. This is until sometimes you sit down with these kids and get to know them, you hear stories, like, "Oh, this kid can hit a baseball. He's a good shortstop, good third baseman. He can throw 95. But I'm telling you what, Puck, I'm going to share his story, I believe, on Monday. And it's just a remarkable young man. The coach, Coach Tony Wolden up there, by the way, big fan of Puckett sports, so Coach Tony and Mount Vernon, they runner-ups last year in the 3A, but this is just a fun team. And keep an eye on Xavier Nyans. This kid has a bright, bright future, but he is just not a baseball player. I'm telling you that. He is all around a kid that everybody wants to play for. He's had 40 to 50 scouts at every one of his games, but there was not 1 ounce, at least in my encounter with him, of being cocky, of being, bragging about this stuff. He just, kudos to his parents and the coaches around him, because they have done a great job with this young man.
Yeah. When is that coming out?
That one is going to be on Monday. I believe we're going to air that story on Monday. So they've got final regular season games, and then they get rolling in playoffs and things like that. But we did a stand-up in there where I go to the coach says, "Egan, he hit one and it hit that barn over there." The coach is like, "I think it's the goat barn." So I have the photographer at home plate, and I'm standing by what I thought was the goat barn. And I'm like, X loves to hit home runs. In fact, he's hit so many home runs that he's taken out the dog barn a couple times and the chicken barn. And he even took one and hit the goat barn, which is 500 feet from home plate. And then some old timer from, Skagit County is like, "Chris, that's not the goat barn. That's the pig barn, as we call it, the swine barn." I'm like, "All right, Tate, we got to redo the whole thing here. We got to be accurate." So he hit one that hit in a game that hit the pig barn, which is over 500 feet from home plate. So it's the stories, you hear these stories like the Natural and Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. This kid is something special. And there's a lot of great kids out there. But I had fun chatting with him, and Coach Tony, first class, does things right up in Mount Vernon. So
there's a lot of great talent in this state in baseball for this senior class. But yeah, I read there was a good story. It was somebody in the Times. I want to give credit. I don't know who did the story in the Seattle Times. It was Scott Hansen. I'm not sure, but they did a real good story, feature on him last week. And it just piggybacks though on what you're saying, that as good as this kid is, and for people who don't know Xavier Nyans, he's gonna be he's got a chance to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
He's certainly going to be certainly a first round pick. He'll have obviously a decision to make whether he goes pro or goes to college. He's committed to Oregon State, but you read this story on him, and it's remarkable that he just seems real grounded and just a kind of everyday kid. And they asked him in it because he was being courted to leave the state. To leave the state to go play in like Arizona and California and Florida for some bigger name programs in high school programs where he could play all the time, because of the weather. And he had a great line in there. I'm paraphrasing. Goes, "Yeah, that'd be great, but I would rather play because all I'm focused in on right now is high school baseball." And I think they didn't they lose last year in the semifinals or the finals?
No, in the state championship.
They lost the state championship, right?
And Coach Tony said, "Chris, just to show you how hard this was and how much he loves this team and his brothers, when the lights were off and everybody left, he said X was still crying. He was still just so hurt, losing that, and he tried to help that team win anything. They gave up, I think, a 6-run spot early on. I want to say West Seattle, Puck.
It was West Seattle. Yeah, West Seattle was the champion.
West Seattle got on the board early, and and West Seattle had a phenomenal team, couple great pitchers as well.
But he said his point was that my goal is to win a championship with these guys because these are my friends that I've played Little League with, and I've grown up with, and I want to continue to play with them, and that's what it's all about. Yeah, I was like, it's great. It's just great to hear that stuff.
Yeah, no, these guys have definitely grown up playing together. And I know there's going to be some people in Puyallup like, come on, Egan, mention them. And we've already mentioned Mason Pike, and we've done the story on Mason Pike.
He's not paid to mention Mason Pike, people.
I don't have to throw out a Puyallup reference every day. I'm already doing 7 auctions in the month of May.
Yeah, 7 auctions. Yeah. And, can you mention, Chris, can you mention Elevate, please? Elevate. We need to mention Elevate. Can we get in Elevate before you leave and the fair?
Oh,
I'm being told to mention the fair and Elevate in the same sentence.
The problem sometimes is I love doing these things, and most people are great. But Brock Heward said, once you do one, Egan, they're just going to want to keep having you come back to MC.
Stop signing up for these. Why do you do it?
But I feel like, we're giving back to these nonprofit organizations. So
what's the one on the horizon?
I have I have one tonight for the Sumner Puyallup Chamber of Commerce, the Culinary Classic.
Let's go.
Then next week we got the WIAA Hall of Fame, and then we've got a Farm 12 big event next Saturday for their organization. Then we got Corks and Crush coming up. It's going to be and then the Tacoma Athletic Commission is coming up, Puck. It's a busy week, but Puck, you and I have known each other a long time.
Yes, we have.
Monday we have Xavier Nyans. On Thursday, and I'm going to just share the story because
please, because you teased it last week.
Yeah, and I didn't, and a lot of people have asked what this is because I kind of put out a tweet about this girl, Ciara Inovejas, and we started this show talking about Umpqua and a couple kids, one kid that has lost their life and a coach and a reality check. Well, Ciara, I've been doing this job a long time, has just pumped me up and inspired me, and I'm excited to share her story. And I hope people listening can hear this. If you're struggling in life and you're thinking, I'm not going to get a second chance, well, Ciara got a second chance, and she's making the most of it. And I'll explain her story as best as I can for you, Puck. Ciara grew up in Redmond, was loved to do soccer, but found a love with softball. She was very fast, slap hitter, played in the outfield. She gets to Redmond High School, Puck, and she starts dealing with depression and anxiety. And she thought it was just something normal. She thought this is just what high school kids go through, is depression and anxiety. And she kind of kept it to herself and didn't tell anybody about it, but just kind of had some suicidal thoughts, never acted on it, obviously, but just went through some things that were very tough. Her parents then split. Mom went down to Federal Way. Dad stayed in the Redmond area. She loves them both. Decided for schooling to stay at Redmond. But the mental issues were just causing trouble. So she only played 1 year of softball at Redmond, dropped out of high school, and I think did the online learning, and then got on with the Edmonds Junior College softball team. So gets on with them. It's interesting. We start with softball and we're ending with softball. So she gets on with Edmonds, still battling depression, anxiety, plays 1 year for Edmonds. The talent's getting a little bit better, but she still battled hard and she still played. Starts her sophomore year and plays fall ball, but then just the depression, anxiety, just were getting too much to her. So she quits and leaves Edmonds College. After that, now time framing we go through COVID. And so now she's kind of home alone, depression, anxiety, gets into drugs pretty hard. Goes 2 years of not living a very good life with drugs, and is struggling. She's an addict, and she's now lost softball, her love, and is losing people around her. Then she starts losing the vision in her right eye. and then she starts losing the vision in her left eye and gets to the point where she's 95% blind and can't see. Her parents at this point, obviously red flags are up. We're taking her all around Washington to eye doctors, and nobody can find anything. She moves down with her mom, who's now living in California, and she's almost all blind, still battling depression, still battling anxiety, has gone cold turkey on drugs, has fought through that. But the depression, anxiety kind of led to that, but she's trying to get off the drugs. Mom says, we're going to Stanford University. We're going to go to Stanford University. We have to find out what's wrong. They do a full MRI scan on her. The doctors come out an hour later, says, you will stay the night here. We will operate in the morning first thing. She had a brain tumor the size of a lemon, which I don't know brain tumors that well, but that is a very, very large brain tumor. The doctor said it had been growing probably 10, 12 years in her brain, which was forcing the depression, the anxiety that whole time, which led to the drugs. And she just battled through this thing. So they operate the next morning. Anytime you're dealing with the brain, it's a scary operation. Lost, she said, a gallon of blood during the surgery. They remove the tumor, Puck, and she wakes up. She can see. Vision is 100% back. She feels no depression. She feels no anxiety. But she's looking around. She goes, I think that's my boyfriend. I think that's my mom. Friend. They pulled the brain tumor out, which took out 12 years of her life, is what the doctor said. Memory. 12 years of memory gone. But she knew that she loved her boyfriend, knew that was her mom.
So wait, Chris, let me stop. She couldn't recall anything for the past 12 years.
That's pretty much, she's lost a lot of insight on, like, I asked her about high school, does not know a whole lot about high school, does not know. So lost just a ton of memory when they took the tumor out. She was told, now she's 28 now. She was told she loves softball, and she remembers, I remember playing softball. So she says, can I still play? And they're like, well, you do have 1 year of eligibility left at Edmonds College. So they're like, huh. So they call Edmonds College, and the story just keeps getting better. The coach now at Edmonds College is a lady by the name of Antoinette. And she played club select softball with Ciara back in the Redmond area when they were growing up, and went to her Sweet 16 birthday. They hadn't dealt with each other for many years after that, but she is now the coach at Edmonds. She texts her and says, I want to try out and see if I can play softball. The coach goes to the Edmonds AD. Everything works out. She still has a year of eligibility. She still needs to go to school. She comes out, tries out, makes the team, is now the starting right fielder for Edmonds, a very good college softball team. She's batting .320. She says it took her a couple practices to get back to learning how to catch and hit and slap hit and that. She's a 28-year-old playing with a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds. She got a second chance. She smiles every single moment of the day. She is living her best life right now, Puck. She says, I just stop I'll sit out there in the outfield. I'll just look around and just love life. So you know what? It's absolutely an amazing journey, and trying to get this thing into her story for a news story is not easy right now. So we're working on that.
Well, they've got to give you some extra time here.
I would
for
hope
that
so.
one.
I would hope so. So
we don't need any more carjackings or the homeless stories. How about we have that story? That is one of the most incredible stories I've ever heard. That Chris, that's a movie.
Yeah, no, it really is.
That's a movie.
And here's the interesting thing, and I'll tell people, I've been doing this, we mentioned I'm 52, and I'm always learning. I get to the interview with all I knew, Puck, was that Edmonds had a girl with a brain tumor playing in right field. That's all I knew. And I said, that's a story. That's all I knew, though. So I actually got there 20 minutes before our photographer got there and met her. And if you're a young reporter, if you're just doing anything in life, open up your ears. And I sat her down. I said, Ciara, just tell me your story. We're not on camera. Tell me your story. And that's when it went beyond the brain tumor. It went into the drugs. It went into the depression. It went into the anxiety. It allowed me off camera to ask her questions about suicide, and it just got her feeling comfortable. And I said, okay, well, the photographer's coming in a little bit. How much of this do you want to share? This is your journey. This is your inspirational story. She goes, I want to share the whole thing. She goes, I'm not alone. There's other people out there that are addicted to things. There's, that are fighting through things they don't know about. And so pretty amazing stuff. Just a great, she's 28 now. I want to call her a young lady, but I'm learning and I'm getting inspired every day. So, kudos to her and her journey and for sharing that. But just anybody out there, it's not always about you. Just shut up sometimes and listen. And just listen hard, focus on them, ask them about them, want to know about them. And, sometimes that will help you, get something.
That must have been emotional for you.
It was, yeah. I mean, when she talked about the addictions and breaking through, as somebody that has a brother that battled addictions and
right,
lost his life, it was hard, and I got a little teary eyed and she said it. She says, Chris, surround yourself with people, but in the end, which was hard to hear, is in the end, it has to come down to you. And it came down to me, and I said, I have to be a better person, and I want it to change. And to anybody battling addictions, all I can say, man, is I'm praying for you. I love you, and you can do it. You can do it. But it's not easy. So, but
when does that story come out?
That one is going to be on Thursday, I believe. So we got Xavier on Monday and that one on Thursday. So.
You are someone just said it. You are truly a national treasure to the Northwest. Where would we be without you?
We just go out there and we tell stories, and that's what and then we
you do a great job, Chris.
Yeah, we got the world's strongest man apparently living in Tacoma. I just got an email on that one. So I'm excited to share his journey as well.
You know what? I'm glad you did that because, never good. It's always a hard transition out of something like that. And you go right into it. We've got the world's strongest man living.
They called me and said, Chris, we love your stories. We got the world's strongest man. I go, what does he do? He goes, well, he'll pull a bus for you. And I go, I'm sold. We'll see. I'll see you in Tacoma.
Here's what I got one better for you. For you. Take him down to Enumclaw.
Oh,
tell him to put a bunch of heifers in that.
Oh, the hog trailer.
In the hog trailer.
Yes.
And have him carry the hog trailer.
Oh,
that's what you should do because that's awesome.
Yeah.
I know you got to go. You got to go up to go
Seahawks,
cover
Seahawks
rookie mini camp. And
I'll bring one of these next time I see you, Puck. I'll
get
you one of these. So, and you know what? I got a second one for Canzano, so I don't know how we can get that to him, but
we can
ask him if he'd like one of those. We'll get one to him as well too.
I'm sure he would. You're the best. Thank you for all your work and everything you do.
Puckett, we love you, buddy.
Love you
Talk
too.
To you later.
Yes, Chris Egan, King 5 News, an absolute treasure here in the Northwest. Follow Chris on Twitter and Instagram, Chris Egan 5. All of his work at King 5 and King5.com. He joins us every Friday from the Limback Lumber Studio. Sitting in today for the one and only Jim Moore. Jim in Pullman, moving his kids there out of college and bringing them back home. But what an incredible story on that young woman. That comes out next Thursday. He's got a story on Xavier Nyans as well coming out, I think he said on Monday. But, boy, you talk about perseverance and pushing through adversity. Boy, that is I don't know how much more adversity someone can deal with and go through than what that young lady went through. And good for her of just battling all of her addictions and pushing through it. And then at the same time, imagine losing 10, 12 years of your life and not remembering it. And then there's that connection to sports. We talk about this all the time and listen, sports is fun and games, but I don't think that there's anything in our society. I mean, I should save this for What the Puck, but whatever, that unites people and gives people more passion and love than sports. I don't, there's a lot of great things and they're all great. The arts and music, they're all great. And music, to me, music is probably the one that's probably the closest and maybe neck and neck with sports. I just think music and sports, I don't find something else that unites people and gives people as much passion than those two things, and inspiration. I don't know if there is a really a close second. All right. Coming up next, we have the Scout. The Scout joins us every Friday. We record the Scout early in the morning. The Scout is an anonymous Major League Baseball scout that currently works for a big league team. Spent 30 years covering baseball in and around the game, coached at the collegiate level, played at the collegiate level, and now is a scout for an MLB team. We bring him on every single Friday to get kind of the real scoop on the M's and baseball. We kind of do a deep dive into the team. On this week's episode, we talked at great length about Samad Taylor, who's back up with the team. A little bit more on Tyler Locklear, Jorge Polanco. What is Polanco doing differently? What are some adjustments that Polanco has made? The connection that these hitters have right now from learning from Kevin Seitzer and Edgar Martinez. We talk about that. Bryce Miller, Bryce Miller's injury situation. Offensively, what they're doing right now, despite, again, this offseason of not adding really that much talent, and how are they able to do this right now? Our Friday edition of the Scout right now. Another edition of the Scout. It's the real scoop on the Mariners in baseball from our anonymous baseball scout who currently works for a Major League Baseball team, has been covering the sport for the past 30 years. The greatest sport ever invented. Hello, Scout. How are you?
I'm great, Puck. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Sun's out, so you can't complain. And we can't complain with this baseball team right now. I've been saying it all week, Scout. This is the beauty of sports, because sports it's so unpredictable. And I don't think there's anybody that would have predicted that this baseball team would have gotten off to this type of start, especially offensively.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's you got to give the powers to be some credit, because they felt like this could happen. I think they felt like it could happen last year. It just didn't happen, and obviously they're on a great stretch right now. But there's an old saying that a guy told me one time that the Mariner fans should listen to: things are never as good or as bad as you think they are. So
it's funny because I'm always, as a lifelong Mariners fan, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, I can get that, but I tell you what, things are going good right now. At the end of the day, the Mariners, no matter what happens offensively, because you're going to fluctuate. The game is hard. What they've proven to have is pitching at a lot of it, and anytime you pitch, you got a chance to win.
No team can withstand a bunch of injuries, but a team like this that was lacking a lot of organizational depth. I mean, how many more injuries can this particular team withstand?
Well, if you just look at history, you would think none. Yeah, you wouldn't think they could lose any more. But sometimes players just need that opportunity, and maybe there's some anger, there's some motivation in that clubhouse, and I think a lot of it has to do with leadership too on your older players. When young guys do get called up, they got to build confidence in them, and they can't be worried about losing their jobs. They just got to be worried about adding to the team. So I think that's kind of, obviously I don't know a lot about their team. I only get to watch games. I'm not in their clubhouse, but from afar, that's what it looks like is going on right now.
What do you think what changes have you noticed, or can you look at that stand out to you with Jorge Polanco?
Just not many as I haven't seen many just empty at bats. I think he's giving you really quality at bats, and like I said, I just said it before. It's offensively, it's a confidence thing. You got to, thoughts become your words, and words become your actions, and actions become your behavior, and the behavior becomes your destiny. So, a lot of times when you're in a really good rhythm, the whole key is just staying there, right? Just staying there mentally and competing. Obviously, Blanco's a long-time big leaguer. He's got a lot of experience with a lot of at bats. So, it's one of those things where maybe he's just in the right rhythm right now, and no reason to talk about it or do anything with him. Just just leave him alone and let him play.
I'm not sure if you have insight into this, but I'm just curious, as someone that's been around the game, played the game. He at this moment, right, he's dealt with the knee injury. He's got this oblique injury that prevents him from swinging from the right side, but he's clearly fine to swing from the left side. For someone who I don't know if I could tell you where my obliques are, Scout, but why is it that it doesn't really bother him from the left side, but it bothers him so much he can't swing from the right side?
Well, the one thing I'd have to find out too is like, is it on his front, is it on his right side or is it on his left side when it comes to his oblique, right? Like how you rotate, from one side you rotate, like your front side rotates more than your back side. So like I said, maybe, it all kind of depends where the injury is, but obviously he's playing such good baseball right now. He wishes there was none. He wished there was no discomfort from either side. He just keep it going. When you're hitting after plate appearances, you're still almost hitting close to 400. You got some good things going for you, but he's just not striking out. He's not walking a lot. It really looks like when he gets his pitch, he's just doing damage. And sometimes guys, when they get their pitch, they just don't do damage, and he's doing damage on his pitches right now. And he's just not, like I say, he's only struck out right now, 11% of his at bats. And he's only walked 6. So, and he's considered kind of a DH, but on average in the big leagues, DHs strike out almost 25% of the time, and he's only striking out 11. But they do walk twice as much as he usually walks. But like I said, he's hitting 384 right now, so I'm quite sure they're just staying away from him and getting as many at bats out of him as they can.
Yeah, it's a big. I mean, that was part of the injury situation that he had a year ago. But his strikeout rate, which was an all-time high for him a year ago, was 29%. So I mean, that's a huge improvement from a year ago.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't get to watch all the big league games. I'm more on the minor league side currently. But, you do have Dan Wilson as your manager, and you've got, Edgar in there too. And, Edgar, obviously one of the greatest hitters of all time. And Dan Wilson's a heck of a great player too, obviously on both sides of the field, could defend and could hit. But he was never just this huge strikeout type of guy. So I'm quite sure the types of players they're giving some of that knowledge, right? And what you're good at, you usually teach, right? So I'm quite sure that's exactly what's kind of going on right now. Their philosophies and their mindset are being passed on to these players. More often the young players, like Polanco's not a young player. He's almost 32 years old, but he's, like I say, he's got tons of experience. But there are so many younger players in that lineup, and I'm quite sure it's contagious, right? They're just talking to a couple players, and it's expanding to, and it's kind of spreading throughout the entire team.
It seems like, Scout, of the people that you talk to around the organization, one thing that they'll say is, because everybody's trying to answer the question how and why. Like, why have they been able to turn it around offensively? How have they been able to turn around offensively? And the common answer to that question has been, well, with Kevin Seitzer and Edgar Martinez, it's not so much that they have retooled these guys' swings. They've just told them to go up there and hit. Don't think too much. That just get rid of all of the, I guess, noise inside your head. And I guess maybe the over-analyzation. Maybe they're talking about video. I don't know. But just simplify it. I mean, when you were coming up in the game, there wasn't all this, the video and all the information on these pitchers. And that stuff is very important. But you tell me, can you become paralyzed with all that information?
Yeah, there's an old saying, paralysis by analysis, right? So, like I said, they're just, they're swinging the bat good, right? But it's not like they're the most potent offense in the world. They just had a really bad offense last year, right? They still got guys, still hitting 230, 208, but they're just, like I said, I think they've got more competitive at bats, longer at bats. They wear pitchers down. They get starting pitchers out more often. I felt like I didn't get to see a lot last year, but obviously not nearly as many games as you watched, but I felt like last year there's a lot of quick at bats. They weren't making starting pitchers work. And I kind of feel like in the limited time that I've got to see the big league club, I feel like they've had more competitive at bats. And then guys are getting older, right? Cal Raleigh's in his, he's got 10 home runs right now. He's only hitting 230, but he's in his prime, right? I mean, JP Crawford's 29. He's toward the end of his prime, right? But like he's experienced guys. Julio, this is year 4 for him. He's got a lot of experience. So even though they have, bring some of those younger guys up, or, Rosarina is an experienced guy. They've got half of that lineup's been in there a lot, right? So, they're an experienced team. And like I said, when you combo with guys like Seitzer and Julio or Edgar and Dan Wilson, that's a good recipe.
you talk about the younger players. They have, because of the injuries that they have had here recently. We've talked about, Luke Raley being the latest one. Samad Taylor has been now called up to the big league club. He was a guy that was putting up incredible numbers in Tacoma Scout. For those who don't know much about Samad Taylor, just see some highlights, read some things about him. What kind of player is he? What kind of player can he project to be, do you think?
He's slightly less talented player, in my opinion, than, let's say, Ryan Bliss. That's the type of guy that you have. He's a good player. He's speed is his game, right? He's a guy that can come in and steal bases for you. He's probably an above average defensive second baseman. If you were gonna, put a report on him, he's the second baseman that can slide over and play short in a pinch. Doesn't really have the arm strength and has a hard time, like in the 6 hole, playing that position. But he also has the speed that can play in center field. One thing I do like, since the couple times he's been up in the big leagues, or just throughout his entire career, his outs are on the ground a lot. And you want his outs to be on the ground when you're a 70 runner. This guy can really, really pick them up and put them down. But he's a free swinging type of guy. But if he can, stay flat, stay on top of the ball, be a line drive type guy, and not try to hit the ball in the air, then he brings great value to your team.
We've talked about him before, and it seems like it may be getting closer and closer. That Tyler Locklear comes up. And I know we've discussed before because we brought up the whole Donovan Solano situation. Tyler Locklear, again, just kind of refresh our audience, your thoughts on what you see from the Mariners' first baseman who's currently down in Tacoma.
Yeah, he's getting really seasoned right now in Tacoma. Obviously, there are 115 plate appearances, hitting over 300. And last year he had, over 300 plate appearances at AAA. So he's got about, if you just look at his minor league career now, he's creeping up on that, 750, 800 at bat. So that's that time, used to be back in the day, Puck, they would, you guys weren't going to get up in the big leagues till they at least had a minimum of about 1,000 at bats. Mm-hmm. Guys are really getting rushed right now. So he's that guy. He's more on the verge of 800 bats in the minor leagues than he is like 200, like some of these guys get moved up. But quality player, he's one of those guys that I think is going to be a really, really steady Eddie type guy when he gets up here. I just don't know, baseball is such a profiling game. I don't think that he's this big home run threat, right? I mean, I think he's a really good player, and there's some things that he does really, really well. When the ball's in the strike zone, he's going to swing at it. That's something he's really, really, really good at. That when he's going to swing at the right types of pitches. But big leagues are different. I even had to learn that when I started scouting on the pro side, where there are guys that can really dominate at the AAA level, and they can get up and they can be serviceable. They're not the same guys at AAA as they are in the big league. So I wouldn't have the expectations for him to be, being that 320 type guy that he is in AAA. But I do know that he, can bring great value to a team and play solid defense at first base and be a contributor.
I hadn't intended to ask you about this next guy, but I was just reminded of it. I just saw a clip on him, and I'm sure that you've seen him. And listen, this player is years away from helping out the Mariners in the big league club. But Johnny Formello, their outfield prospect, just came back this past week. He was out with an ACL tear, and in his first game back, he hits a home run for the Everett Aqua Sox. Thoughts on him? Thoughts on what he could be? And I mean, he looks like he's got all the tools in the world, Scout.
Very toolsy, coming off the injury. So, but he's one of those guys that, I wouldn't throw him like a 5-tool. A lot of guys will use that 5-tool, terminology. I'm not sure he's a 5-tool type guy, but he can run when he's healthy. He can defend. He's got enough juice to hit the ball in the park. So, just another good player. I mean, they've got a bunch of really nice players in the minor league, offensive players. Not that they don't have pitching. They're just, as we know, the Mariners pitching in the big league level is considered dominant. I look at the minor league level, and without a doubt, the teams that I cover in the minor leagues, the Mariners have some of the best young offensive players, and I think Johnny's one of those. Yeah,
he looks the part. There's no doubt about it. All right, there's we've talked about it before on previous shows. The Bryce Miller situation, and I think maybe the last time I just said, God, it feels concerning to me that every start there's this shoulder soreness, arm soreness. Last start, Scotty dealt with some back issues. I'm not sure if that's related at all to the arm. but we once again saw the dip in velocity. This time now down to 92 miles an hour. Again, you tell me this. I know guys deal with arm soreness all the time, but is this starting to become more of a problem than his arm is just sore?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, like you hope not. Like I said, I'm no doctor, and like I said, I can't comment on how he feels. But a lot of times when your velo does go down and you're complaining of soreness, whether it's forearm or the arm, you know, the big worry is it Tommy John, right? Is the elbow going? Pitchers are going to get hurt once in their career. Unfortunately, Bryce Miller will get hurt. I'm not telling you he's hurt right now, but it's going to happen. And like I said, nowadays, as long as you're staying away from the shoulder, it seems like these guys are coming back as strong or stronger no matter what happens to them. But like I said, there's definitely things to be concerned in what happens too when your velo dips. You got to pitch differently. Like, now he's walking 15%. Of the hitters were last year, his first 2 years in the big leagues, you're looking at 7%, 6%. So he's doubling his walk rate, and that's probably got to do with I don't have that big fastball. He's really good at elevating the fastball at the top of the strike zone. He can make you swing and miss, but when your velo's down, you probably don't get you won't be able to do that, right? So yeah, like I said, I don't know exactly what's wrong with him, obviously, and I wouldn't want to even comment. But when velo does dip like that, and there is complaining of soreness, there just might be something there.
Logan Evans has been good since he's come up. Give us your thoughts on Logan Evans, who's now filling in that Mariners rotation.
Yeah, I mean, once again, they've got an embarrassment of riches when it comes to pitching in the big leagues. And he came up and had a solid start. 5 innings, only gave up a hit. He gave up a home run, but he was solid. At AAA, and his stuff is good. He's got really, really good stuff. Like I said, but when I haven't seen him a lot. I only got to see him one time, and the one of the things that I liked about him last year when I saw him in AAA is he threw it over the plate. He wasn't going to walk anybody. Right? He was going to come right at you. I think he only walked 5% of the hitters that he faced in AAA. It was only over 5 starts that I saw him. But like I said, he's a strike thrower, and especially in a ballpark like Seattle, you can get away with being a strike thrower because the ball doesn't really carry as much. It will now it's starting to heat up a little bit. It's starting to get sunny, so the ball carries a little bit more at T-Mobile. But if you're a contact pitcher at that ballpark, you're going to give yourself a chance to win, and that's what he is.
Yeah, it's fun to watch them. I mean, and you're right, they do just have this embarrassment of riches when it comes to starting pitching. Andres Munoz, explain it to me. I mean, he is just on a heater right now. Scout 11 for 11 for save opportunities. He has been just almost. I mean, he's been unhittable, and he's added a new pitch. I think it's the kick changeup or whatever the hell he's added, and it just comes on you, and it comes on you fast. What makes him just so dominating and just so feared as a reliever?
Well, he's a strike thrower too. The fastball is 98 to 100. Right. He also can sink it, and now he's got the slider too. He throws a little bit of that, like I said, that kitchen. I haven't seen it for myself, so I don't want to talk about a pitch that I haven't seen. He's always been pretty much fastball slider when I've seen him with obviously some sinkers too as well. But, once again, he's a closer. He's coming right at you, right? And he's got really no fear. He's experienced. Now, this is basically year 3 for him as the closer, for the most part, even though, in 22 he was too as well, but like 4 straight years, he's the closer. So he's really experienced. His velo's up. He hasn't lost anything. And now he knows these hitters more, right? He knows how to attack these guys. And his last, I think if I was to pull it up, his last 10 appearances, he's walked one guy. Right. So, I mean, big stuff, throwing it over the plate, creating contact. That's exactly what you want to do. And then the one thing that a closer has to be able to do is he's got to get some outs on his own. He's got to be able to strike people out. And every outing that he goes in there, he's going to at least strike one guy out. So, he's got all the attributes you could ever want for a closer.
Yeah. Yeah. He's been great to watch. And it's just, he's fun. He's got one of those weird personalities, right? It's in terms of, it's a Jekyll and Hyde personality. Off the field, he's this very calm and easygoing person, just very soft spoken. He gets on that mound and he just turns into a completely different, animal out there, where he's just the most kind of feared closer in the game.
Yeah, you got to flip a switch because I don't really think that people understand how difficult closing is. The last 3 outs of the game, doesn't matter what level, high school, college, the big leagues, those last 3 outs are tough. And then also, not to mention, starting pitcher, I am pitching every 5th day. Closer, at times you got to be ready every day. And then you got to sit around mostly for 8 innings, right? So it's not an easy job. Everybody thinks, oh man, he's only got to come in and get 3 outs. That's easy. Well, trust me, those last 3 outs are the most difficult outs you'll ever possibly get. And he's as good as anybody in the world at it right now.
Thank you, Scout. The Scout with us every Friday. The real scoop on the Mariners and baseball from our anonymous baseball scout who currently works for a Major League Baseball team. Been covering the sport for 30 past years. Every Friday, the Scout with us here on the Daily Puck Drop and, of course, at Puck Sports and pucksports.com. Enjoy your weekend, Scout. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Thanks, Puck.
There he is, the Scout with us every Friday, talking about the Mariners and the rest of baseball. A lot of there just on the Mariners, on what they have with Samad Taylor, Tyler Locklear. I expect the Tyler Locklear thing to happen pretty quickly, despite Solano the other day getting a couple of hits. Thoughts there on Logan Evans. Shares, again, the same concerns there with Bryce Miller that we talked about. I know Jerry DiPoto was on this morning. It was happening right when we're doing the show here on the MLB Network. He was on with Brian Kenny. Not sure exactly what he said there on the show. I think that he gave an injury update, I believe, on Kirby and Gilbert, saying that they're hopeful that they're there by the end of the month. Just reading from Shannon Dreyer, of course, covers the Mariners. She was watching the interview, says the outlook is better what it was initially. Said the plan is for Kirby to make at least 2, maybe 3 rehab starts. So again, fingers crossed that both are healthy because they need their pitching. They need those guys back and healthy, clearly, because the one concern with them offensively is can this group carry them offensively throughout the entire year? Again, they will regress, and that's not being Debbie Downer. That's just the laws and physics of this massively hard sport because it just will come back down to reality. And when it does come down, you'd like for both to mirror up, but when it does come down, you need the pitching to kind of elevate and carry them. So, before the injuries, it just had been something that was a little inconsistent. They haven't had starters work long into games, deep into games. That was before the injuries. It's taken a great tax on their bullpen. Their bullpen has had an amazing tax on them. So, it's one thing that when they get closer to the deadline, and even probably before the deadline, we probably, despite what they're doing right now, every team can get better offensively. I don't care who you are. I don't care how many more runs that they score. They can improve this team offensively. They have to. If they can, they must improve this team offensively to add even more bats to it. But they will look at pitching, and they should look at pitching just because of the kind of unsettling nature of it right now. I don't feel good about Bryce Miller. There's something wrong with him. He doesn't look good at all. And I just think for a guy that has started the season like this, coming off a year ago when she threw so many pitches and so much workload, that to be dealing with this right now from the get-go, it was evident start one. It hasn't gotten any better. It's gotten worse. And again, that the velocity being down to 92, it's just relying on the other stuff more now, not being able to locate and have that high velocity fastball, which everything else that he has plays off that. And, that's a big worry. I think it should be a big worry for them. And I think for you as the fans, because it feels like that. And I want to be wrong. I want to be so wrong. It just feels like that's kind of coming down the pipeline. So hopefully it doesn't come to that, but they're giving him extra days rest. They're doing everything they possibly can to save him. And, but it doesn't look good for him. So, Good stuff there from the Scout. And again, I love those conversations with the Scout. If you're just joining us, at least on the live show, if you're listening back later, like, well, I've already listened to the show, so I don't need to. You need to tell me this. This is an old school radio, you moron, where people are coming in and out. But people are coming in and out of our live show. If you are coming in and out of the live show, do yourself a favor and go back and watch or listen to Chris Egan. Egan was on today, started the show. Jim Moore is out. I was told by Jim Moore that he was out because he was moving his kids. But then I look at his Twitter feed and he's playing golf. F you, Moore. Just tell me you were playing golf. Chris, we talked about the Mariners and all that, but has just this incredible story that he has been working on that's going to be coming out next week about a young woman who was in the depths of hell and pulled herself out of it and is now playing college softball at Edmonds Community College. And it is it's remarkable, this story. And we just got with Chris a Cliff Notes version of it. And the full story on King 5, he's still in the editing process. He told me that it's going to come out, I think, next Thursday. And I mean, it's going to be a lengthy one because I don't know how, in a typical one of these stories, which is 3 minutes, I don't know how you can tell this young woman's story in 3 minutes. This might take up the whole newscast to properly tell it. And so go back and listen to it or watch it and tell me if this is not a Hollywood movie. I mean, this is Disney. I mean, she's got to write a book or just base the movie off of Chris's reporting. You need a pick-me-up. Go back and listen to it and keep track of when Chris releases that story coming up next week on this fabulous softball player coming out of Edmonds Community College. Couple of housekeeping notes before we get to Hey, What the Puck and wrap it up here for a Friday. We talked about rookie minicamp. We got into all that. The NBA announcing Tyrese Halliburton's dad. I was going to bring that up with the Egan. We never got to that. I think they've banned him for the rest of the play or the Pacers, not allowing it any more playoff games. Good decision. It's great. I want to give this hat I'm wearing, Shoreline Royals. Shout out to Shoreline Royals, but this is just because the friend of mine who associate with those guys, but is the head coach also at Ingraham High School. Shout out to Tim Lee and his Ingraham high school baseball team. Ingraham is going for a school record in wins tonight. And at home, great program. He's taken over a program that was kind of down and out, and he's built it back up. So shout out to Tim and all those kids over there at Ingraham going for a school record in wins. Good luck to you guys. It's an awesome program, and Tim's an awesome coach. So I wanted to throw a shout out to those guys. And also shout out to Mitch Johnson. Guys, remember Mitch Johnson? I remember Mitch Johnson, the hell of a basketball player out of O'Day High School. Just great. I wanted him for the Cougs so bad. And he was, probably one of the last classes under Phil Lumpkin. Phil Lumpkin, just a great basketball coach at O'Day High School. But Mitch Johnson went on, great high school career. Another one of these guys that we produce so many basketball stars out of this area. It's insane. And really, and Tacoma included. But when you look at Seattle, it's remarkable how much talent comes out of this city. Mitch went on, graduated O'Day, went on to go play at Stanford. No one's going to turn down Stanford. Sorry, Cougs. And had a great collegiate career for the Stanford Cardinal. I'll be honest with you, I think he got a cup of coffee in the NBA. I didn't even realize that he had been with the San Antonio Spurs for like a decade. He's been on the Greg Popovich coaching staff. Well, Greg Popovich announcing today that he's stepping down as the head basketball coach of the Spurs, going to go transition to a front office role, taking his place because he was the interim coach, and I totally forgot he was the interim coach. for the Spurs, Mitch Johnson. Mitch Johnson has been elevated from the interim head coach of the Spurs to now the new head coach. So another Seattle connection in the NBA. And congratulations to Mitch Johnson, one of the best basketball players I've ever seen in high school. Just did it the right way. I mean, just played basketball and was a point guard, a coach's dream for a point guard was Mitch Johnson and how he ran a basketball team. And he's now the new head coach there of the San Antonio Spurs. That's awesome. That incredible. And there's rumors now that Giannis Antetokounmpo may join the Spurs. So, hell, Mitch Johnson, you get Giannis and Wemby. I think you can kind of win with that. But congratulations there to Mitch Johnson. All right, let's wrap it up with Hey, What the Puck. We do it every Friday. We'll cut everyone a little loose today to go join to enjoy your sunny Friday. Go out, take your girlfriend, take the wife out on a little happy hour drinking, okay? Just do something fun. It's brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. It's your restoration company that lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. They are locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. I wanted to end on a good note. And not really going to be a good note. I think a lot of you out there who are parents of kids that have chosen to you play all the sports, right? But then maybe there's one sport you choose to be I guess they call it select club ball, right? Whatever it is. It doesn't matter what sport it is. I just had a conversation with somebody yesterday as Goldie, the super van's getting worked on. She's on life support. Oh, Goldie, the super van's on life support. It's to the point with Goldie, the van, we may have to put her down, and it's not good. Not good. This guy's very heartbroken about it right now. But the gentleman that I was talking to, known for a long time, his kid is playing his baseball, 10 years old. And he was asking me about, hey, I know your kid plays club baseball, with advice and all that kind of stuff. And I said, here's my pitch. Here's my elevator pitch on it. You take it for what it's worth. But it got me thinking, because I know a lot of parents that have their kids in different club sports, and but then they'll play like rec ball, and they try to do as much as they can. And my main advice to him was, hey, if your kid wants to play on a travel team and a select team, then let him do it. If he wants to do it, not if you want him to do it, or mom wants him to do it. It's got to be his choice or her choice to do it. But I also said, if he does it, make sure he continues to play Little League, okay, as long as he can. Don't choose select ball over Little League. Don't ever do that, okay? You can have the best. You can have both, and you can make it work. Trust me, you can make it work. But I said, make sure he also does all the other sports too, if he can. Baseball's in the spring, but, whatever it is in the fall, it's soccer, football, doesn't matter. And then in the winter has something else, because, if you start going down this road of select ball or select teams and you just focus in on that at this age, one, you're just going to burn out. You're absolutely going to burn out. And eventually they're going to play it for a few years, and not all of them, because I bet you there's a few cases where all they play is one particular sport and they love it. I mean, because my daughter plays, she's a gymnast, and since she was like 5, that's all she's done. We made her play other sports growing up, basketball, softball, but there was an age probably when she was 12 that those other sports stopped, and then she just continued gymnastics. So she did primarily just play one sport, but had other sports there as well that she dabbled into. But I just said, hey, make sure he continues to play other sports. And I said, the one thing you'll find in all this, because I've had other families and parents go through this as well, and it's a real crime, and it's really for select coaches. This is my message to them, because this stuff really pisses me off, because I hear it all the time. And not only just select coaches, but other coaches as well. It could even be middle school coaches or high school coaches, because maybe it's just not I don't think they're immune to it as well. But you hear coaches all the time say, oh, we encourage, and I do believe there's a lot of them out there that say this and believe it, and they're true to their words with it. We'll say, oh, we really want multi-sport athletes. But some of you select coaches out there and other coaches, you don't truly want it. Because I've seen it firsthand. Because what you do is you sit there and pit the one sport against the other sport. And you make the parents choose. Oh, no, we want multi-sport athletes, but only multi-sport athletes. It's fine until it conflicts with the sport I coach. And when it conflicts with the sport that I coach, now you got to choose. And there's a lot of coaches out there, especially in that select realm, that do that shit. And it's awful. So my advice to any of you parents out there, don't get dragged into that. Don't let them guilt you into thinking that if you don't show up to the practice, that you can't play on because you're playing in another sport that's like a sport that's in season. Don't have them guilt you into thinking you can't play on the weekend for the club team. It's a fucking lie. It's a lie. It's just, and they should never, ever, ever put you in that position, ever. And if they are, then that team's wrong for you, and that coach is wrong for you, and the director of that program is wrong for you. I've seen it happen way too much this year, and it's a real problem with youth sports and the people that run it. All right, that's Hey What the Puck. It's brought to you by Restoration One in North Seattle. It's your restoration company. Lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. They're locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when those damages affect your residential or commercial property. Give them a call, 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. That's it for us here on a Friday. Go grab yourself a cold one. Kick back, relax a little bit. All right? That's my advice to you. Thank you for watching and listening today. Big thanks, as always, to all our sponsors. Limback Lumber. Hey, Clean Streak. Brian, I'd say he was here, but he was not here. All right? But shout out to Clean Streak. Also, Georgetown Brewery. Check out their new tavern beer, georgetownbeer.com, and their brewery. And, of course, Restoration One. Today's Daily Puck Drop, find it up on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel when you're there. Like it, leave a comment. Try to get to as many as I possibly can. Also, find the Daily Puck Drop on your favorite podcast platforms. And, of course, always up at pucksports.com. When you're there, pucksports.com, please sign up to become a member of the Pucks Posse. $5 a month is all it costs you. Get all the free content we do here daily, plus VIP and bonus shows there as well. Our baseball coverage, full coverage there with our MLB insider and furniture salesman, Ryan Divish. The Sports Pit with Steve Sandmeyer and Matt Stretch Johnson, our KJR alums. That comes out every Monday. And now please be sure to check out brand new podcast that we produce here at Puck Sports. The Graz with Gas Take 5 podcast. New episodes every Monday on YouTube and all podcast platforms. Just search Graz with Gas Take 5. And, of course, you can always find it up at pucksports.com. All right, that is it for us here on a Friday. Big thanks to Chris Egan for filling in today for Jim Moore and the Scout. We will see you on Monday. As always, have a wonderful weekend, and I promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!